Welcome to Meaningful Mondays with the Community Foundation of Middlesex County, where we only know good people who do great things in our community. Whether you are a volunteer, a donor, or a nonprofit organization, each episode of Meaningful Mondays will celebrate you, our friends and neighbors who have a deep passion for and commitment to improving the quality of life for all in Middlesex County. So let's kick off the week with great conversations with remarkable people, businesses, and nonprofits making a difference right in our own backyard. Well, it's Monday, everyone, and we just have meaningful Mondays all the time at Middlesex County because we only know good people who do great things. And I am so excited to have Ann Thompson, who is the director at Essex Library, with us today. And she's going to fill us in why we in Essex, I live in Essex, and everywhere else thinks that libraries are the center of the universe. So welcome, Ann. How are you?
Thank you, Cynthia. Thank you, Thayer, as well. I'm very well, and I'm very pleased to be here this morning on Meaningful Monday, because every Monday here at the library is meaningful, every day. But I'm sure it's the same at CFMC too, because you guys do the best work possible by enabling so many good people to do good things.
Oh, you're so nice. Thank you. So let's start out with that. So what's the typical Monday like? We have no typical Mondays, no typical days. Is it the same for you?
Libraries are pretty much, we do some routine things every day, but every day is different, which is one of the reasons why so many people love being librarians. You never know who's going to come in the building other than the people who are scheduled to come into the building. We've got the Connecticut River Conservancy in our program room today, who borrowed our Buell room for their meeting this morning. I had a bylaws committee meeting this morning. So library committees, all kinds of nonprofits, student tutoring, patrons coming in wanting their materials or having questions, needing to make copies, using our resources in 10 different ways possible. Our friends group comes in every Monday to work on the book sale materials. So there are some people we know who are coming in, and then everything else is a gift.
There you go. A lot of moving parts. So
a lot of moving parts.
We said at the very beginning that we at the Community Foundation think libraries are the center of the universe. So think about, you all pivoted a lot during COVID. So think about where you were then pre-COVID and where you are now. Are there things that really stick out that were, and I'll borrow your word, gifts, because we had challenges during that time, that things that you've instituted because of COVID?
Absolutely. So the big silver lining, probably around the world, but particularly for libraries, has been Zoom or virtual meetings. It allowed us more than anything else to continue building community while everybody was home during the pandemic and lockdown. People could come and pick up books after a certain period of time at park and pickup stations, but we were able to reach out to people visually, audibly, where people had the ability to connect online and come into Zoom meetings. We obviously had nothing like that before COVID. I mean, there was really no such thing. The software didn't really exist other than webinar software, which was primarily used for businesses. But Zoom has allowed us to take all of our programming virtual, which meant that we could expand the communities that we reached. It didn't mean whoever was within driving distance or whoever could call in on a phone. We reached people around the world with our Zoom meetings during COVID. Yeah, we had.
See, now I never would have thought of that. That is a real gift and a wonderful part of the silver lining.
Yeah, our architecture lecture series with Centerbrook Architects drew people in literally from around the world.
Oh my gosh, great.
Speakers, because our speakers work around the world. So their designs appeal to obviously lots of people who are interested in design. We had discussions on sustainability that drew people, audience members in from around the United States and into Canada. One of our speakers was based over in Portland. And so he had an audience that was built in on the West Coast. So we knew people were going to be coming in from the West Coast. And it's just been a delight to see where people are chiming in from. But we've, reduced that reach since the pandemic has ended. So we're gaining more people from within Connecticut. One of the other silver linings of the pandemic was that we were able to work with other Connecticut libraries and collaborate on programming, which meant that with our funds, we could purchase programming or motivate somebody who wouldn't be within driving distance to get on a Zoom and talk to a larger audience than we would have been able, any one of us, to produce in person. So we've continued that as well. We're going to have some additional authors, speakers. We've got some political scientists who are going to be speaking for us virtually in the coming months, where they probably wouldn't necessarily have spoken for us just as Essex, but with a combined number of libraries
Wow.
across the state, they're very happy to have that larger audience and the additional speakers fee too.
That is just fantastic. And you just don't think about it. We tend to think of like, oh my God, we had COVID, it was terrible, and now we're moving forward. So always looking for the better things that come out of it. So are there things that you think we don't know about libraries that we should? Because I think most of us remember getting our first library card and going in and the Dewey Decimal System, and boy, have libraries changed. So a synopsis of the major changes that have happened. And then, if you don't mind, the challenges that you see.
So the major changes, I think, with libraries are going digital. So like we just spoke, the online programming, the online collections that are available, the online resources that are available have grown exponentially in terms of the ability of libraries to be the center of the community providing such things. We collaborate with all kinds of other nonprofits, both in the state and around the town, to produce the online programming, but we are also able to offer people job help, resume help, interview help, one-on-one interview help. You go in and have a one-on-one with somebody who's an expert on interview techniques. You can do all that for free. We during COVID, I spoke with a woman who had she was let go from her position during the lockdown and was using library resources to find her job. She went into the Connecticut State Department of Labor, I guess, as you had to meet regularly with somebody
Right.
there. And she was on the phone with that person and was talking to them about the resources she was using from the library for job help. And the person at the Department of Labor said, "How come we don't have that?" So
Oh my gosh. See, and then the other thing that I think we forget is that everything is free.
everything is free. We've gone, the Essex
What a
Library,
gift to the community you are.
free to the community. Well, we do get some support from town, which comes from tax dollars. So it's not free completely necessarily if you look at it that way. But everything that we offer to the person who walks in the door, goes to our website, uses any of our resources online, is all completely free. And we have made that not necessarily a policy, but I've wanted to help drive that within our facility to make sure that anybody, no matter what their financial situation is, can make use of every single resource we have at all times, as much as possible. So we try to have programs recorded so people could look at them if they can't make it. We've tried to put more programming on Saturdays for people who aren't able to come to programs during the day or during the week. We record what we can so they can watch it when they can. We have tried to increase our digital materials so that they don't have to come into the library at all. They can download what they want, view it. We've got magazines, streaming video, streaming
Oh
TV.
my gosh.
Yeah, everything you could get from the library physically, except for a meeting space, can be borrowed online. And all that is for free. So that is a big change. The challenge to
That's a,
that
yeah,
is
I was
it's
just going
not
to say that's a
free,
huge, and that's not
huge challenge.
free.
It's
So
not free
I'll put in
content.
a plug. So for those of you who live in Essex, please make sure that you support your Essex Library Association. And for those of you listening who live in other towns with libraries, please make sure you support your local library. It's a resource, a good resource, a great resource for all of us. And you
It's
can
and
put in a shameless plug afterwards too.
thank you. We like to think that we help the make the links in the chain stronger. The stronger your chain is, the stronger the community it is, and the more vibrant a community is. So we do everything we can to make sure that every link in the chain has all the strengths that we can provide it.
That's a good phrase. I'm going to borrow that one because that's what we try to do too through our
I
grants.
know you do. I know we benefited substantially from that.
So I'm going to give a teaser and then we'll ask another question. But please, folks, as you're listening to this and watching Ann and learning more about Essex Library, please, when we tag off or whatever it's officially called, please stay tuned because you'll see how creative the Essex Library Association is. It's a teaser, but it was fun. It will be fun for you. So challenges you see coming forward other than financial, because the nonprofits are always going to hopefully not be faced with financial challenges, but other things that you see?
The financial challenges are the biggest thing. I think in terms of the Essex Library particularly, we have a bit of a footprint challenge. We could stand to have a bigger facility. So we're trying to look at ways to reorganize our interiors to make them more efficient and more usable. We're undergoing that as we speak. We're looking at trying to refurbish some areas so that with tutoring, regardless of whether it's daytime tutoring for students who are homeschooled or remedial tutoring or tutoring for extra credit kinds of things, languages and math, that they have a space to meet with their tutors, multiple spaces. So because we have a lot of call for that, it would be great to have an additional meeting room for people more than two at a time, but fewer than a dozen, say. So space is at a premium. I'd love to have some more space for stacks for our collections. But all those things are true, I believe, about almost any library in the world.
Mhm.
I will say we have the best staff anywhere. So we're a small and nimble staff. It would be great to have a few extra people to be open on Sundays. Those sorts of things are all financially based. But if we ran the circuits and money were no object, we'd be open 7 days a week, 10 hours a day. And with a smile on our faces, welcoming everybody who comes through the doors, because
Oh,
it's
and
just it's
you
an
always,
absolute joy to work in Essex.
so I have to say, or ask rather, excuse me, are there favorite stories you have from, well, are there secrets at the library that you feel comfortable revealing? But are there favorite stories of things that were, again, a silver lining or unexpected, not necessarily because of the pandemic, but because people are people and they make our lives special?
So one secret we mentioned that I don't think a lot of people know unless they were here in 2005 is that half of the library is heated with geothermal engineering. We're a very sustainable library and we're seeking to become a nationally recognized sustainable library. There are
Oh my
criteria.
gosh.
So we work with Sustainable Essex and we collect hundreds of pounds of plastic, recyclable plastic every year. We look to manage our landscaping sustainably. We work with geothermal, so we reduced our fossil fuel usage with that. We keep our temperatures down or up based on the season, so we're not the warmest or coldest place you might walk into. Those are things that aren't maybe readily apparent to the patron who walks in off the street.
But they're meaningful. I mean,
Yeah,
really, and really important. So, oh my gosh, I never would have thought of that. So thank you for revealing that secret.
sure.
Any stories about You must have some things that have happened with the young children or any other patron that you can share, because there's nothing, I'm a reader, but to me, there's nothing better than seeing a young child with a book and the
Well, I
joy of
can talk
reading.
about, I can speak to some older children. We've had a terrible set of months with our middle school and our regional high schools that have been closed
Right.
because, well, the regional middle school was closed because of a facility issue. So they've had to work out of one school, which we all know has been problematic for everybody concerned. And one of the magical things that we were able to do this spring was to work with the Valley Regional High School and host over 150 hours of international baccalaureate final exams here in the library.
Oh my gosh.
We cleared our room schedules as much as we could to accommodate them and had dozens and dozens of kids in here for approximately 3.5 weeks. Some kids who had never been in the building, some who had grown up using the building. And what we found was that once they came in here and we gave them some snacks in between exams,
Important, very
uh,
smart on your
very
part.
smart, and lots of smiling faces and helping them with whatever they needed during the time. We saw a lot more teens in the building after the exams were over, and we had a delightful Warriors in the Community Day with about a dozen kids from Valley Regional who came over and helped us move some of our stacks and heavy furniture to begin some of this refurbishment and improvement of our interior spaces. So it's hand in hand, and it's a win-win-win for us when we can do that.
I remember seeing, and I think you may even still have it out, the Warriors, Valley Regional
Still
Warriors
there.
in the community. So it's really great. But you use so many positive terms: magical, silver lining, gift. So is that why you got into being a librarian? What drew you in? So that's one question. And then, we'll sort of wrap it up with, what the heck can you look forward to in the next couple of months after all of this great stuff going on?
So I was a librarian at a very early age. At about 7, I started organizing my small collection of books in my room and using a label maker to
Did anybody have to
organize
pay
them.
fines?
No, nobody got to borrow them.
Okay.
So it was just about being able to find them on the shelves. So it sort of, the organizational aspect of it came natively to me. I like to organize things, but really it was more about loving literacy, having a joy of reading books. But the people, I live in Essex, and the people that I've met being in the library, in the school libraries, have just been an exceptional memory making experience for me. And I can't think of a job that is more full of reward, or happy memories, or the good feel at the end of the day, when it's my personal goal to make sure that everybody comes into the building, leaves just a little bit happier than when they came in, regardless of whether it's being able to say hi, or give them something they didn't know they were looking for in terms of a book or an audiobook, or just an experience they didn't know they could have.
Well, and we always say here at the Community Foundation that we think we have the best job in the whole wide world. So I think we'll have to be dueling it out for that title. But I mean, we can share.
You bet. You
You
bet.
have one of the best jobs in the whole wide world, and we do
Absolutely.
too as well. And your
Absolutely.
staff is wonderful, and just the phraseology that you use and the aspect of how you look at your job makes you a pretty special person. So thank you for that.
Thank you. I love my job, and I've been at the library now for 25 years.
Oh
So
my gosh. Wow.
it's truly a labor of love. Looking forward, we have a spectacular fall. Our programs and attendance are going great guns. We had over roughly 47,000 visits to the library in the last fiscal year, and we're looking on target to be improving that already this year. So people in the community are seeing both our materials, the resources, and the programming as a reward as well. But I will say we've got a candidate forum that's coming up that actually isn't going to be at the library. It's at Valley Regional High School in the auditorium on October 24th. And I collaborate with Andrew Maloney at the library up in Haddam. We've done that for years as a tradition to bring in the candidates from the 33rd district and the 36th district House and Senate representatives to come in, and it's not a debate. They answer questions that come from the community. So people will see us soliciting those questions in the next couple of weeks. Andrew Maloney up at the Brainerd Library will be doing the same in his community too. We have a What is Democracy conversation being led by a Conn College professor that's going to be happening starting on October 22nd. So the elections are going to be a focus in our programming, but we have so much in terms of cultural arts. Dr. Anna Swinburne is coming in later in September. She's the executive director at the Hillstead Museum. And she's, if you know or watched anything recently from them, they've done a curation and restoration of some of their Impressionist paintings up at the museum. And she's going to come talk about that at the library. So don't miss that. It's going to be a spectacular, I mean, it's eye-watering, the paintings that are there in the museum.
Oh my gosh.
And the restoration from the images that I've seen makes those colors just come out in such glory. So those are just a few of the things. We've got our SECWAC, Southeastern Connecticut World Affairs Council is partnering with us again coming up in the new year to do the Great Decisions discussions again. We've got all kinds of political conversations, and as I said, the cultural arts primarily. But we haven't said anything about the awe stations yet. Are we getting to that?
We are. So, but before we do, and we'll lead in that because I want everybody to remember, stay tuned right after Ann and I sign off. But how do people reach you? And I'm going to do the shameless plug. Listen to what Ann has told us about what a resource Essex Library is. So please, please, please support Essex Library. And please, please, please support your local libraries. They are the best. So Ann, how do people get a hold of you? And then you can talk about the awe.
Okay. So you can get a hold of us any number of different ways. You can find out what we're doing on our website, which is www.youressexlibrary.org. You can find out, you can give us a call at 860-767-1560. You can send us an email. You can come in the door and we're happy to, to talk to you. Any number of our staff, all of our staff are willing and enabled to speak with you about what's coming up, what the resources are available are, or how to point you to something. I think of it as the old movie Miracle on 34th Street. The Macy's Gimbals competition. If we don't have it, we'll find it for you and get it for
There
you.
you go.
Get you to the place where you can get it. We don't have any pride in this. It's about getting you what you need when you need it as quickly as possible. So we'll find it for you.
Well, you're not going to be bored over the next several months, but let's talk about awe.
There you go. Advanced Workstations in Education. That's what AWE stands for. So there are new AWE learning centers, happily funded primarily by the Community Foundation of Middlesex County.
Our honor and privilege.
So we found we have two staff members, one our children's librarian primarily, but also our adult services librarian, who has worked at a couple of other libraries before she came here. And we learned from both of them how the only problem with these AWE stations is that a library that has them never has enough of them, because the children enjoy them so much that there are pushing and shoving arguments about who gets to use them.
Discussions, not arguments, I'm sure.
Discussions, yes, vigorous discussions. But we were lucky enough to be able to fund two of those AWE stations. They're early learning stations for kids, primarily between the ages 2 and 8, though I have seen some 9 and 10-year
Oh gosh,
coming over and looking at them. I've seen grandparents with 4-year-olds just roaring with laughter at them together. So it's something that, depending on the age of the child is either able to just go ahead and push forward with the workstation on their own, or the younger kids like to have a parent or caregiver sitting with them, and it can be tremendous fun. And one of the ways I've described this is it's truly educational software. It's award-winning educational software, but it presents itself in many ways where the child doesn't even know they're learning. They're having so much fun. So the educational software provides what we look at as stream learning. So it's science, technology, reading, engineering, arts, music, and math. And there are games, there are songs with words that can be watched passively, but a lot of it is active. So even if there's a song being sung on the software, the child can touch the screens and play with the objects on the screen. So they don't even know necessarily that they're learning.
That's the best kind.
Yeah,
that's the best kind.
It's
and
great.
If you have grandma and grandpa there with you,
Yeah.
what better way to learn with people that you love?
It makes the family dynamics with that, where the child then remembers going to the library with grandma and grandpa. It's really wonderful. And they grow up. We have people who come in with older grandchildren now, who started here as toddlers. And that's the other reason why our jobs are so much fun here, is we watch children grow up. It's just wonderful. One of the really big reasons we applied for the grant for these awe stations was to help support the curriculum at the Essex Elementary School and the region, the local other elementary schools. We want to give these kids the best leg up into their education that we can, and they help them with critical thinking, with creative thinking, and with problem solving. And these are the areas where we see job growth increasing in the coming years. So we're not only helping these kids get a leg up in their education, but also possibly giving them some inspiration for what kinds of jobs they want to look at when they become job worthy.
Well, my gosh. So
you guys have done a great thing.
wait till you see the awe stations. You will, pardon the pun, be in awe. But Ann, I have to say that we're in awe of all that you do. Thank you for being there for 25 years. Don't go anywhere, because your enthusiasm is infectious. And thanks for being the center of the universe at Essex Library. We're so proud to support you.
Thank you so much for your support. I look forward to more and shaking hands with you again soon.
We will do that.
We are not done yet with today's episode of Meaningful Monday. Take a moment and watch the great unveiling presented by the talented creative staff at the Essex Library. And if you're listening to us on Spotify, please visit middlesexcountycf.org to see the clip.
Thank you for joining us for this week's episode of Meaningful Mondays. At the Community Foundation of Middlesex County, we know that philanthropy matters and philanthropy works. Together we support the arts, education, human services, animal welfare, the environment, heritage enhancements, and so much more by providing services, programs, and grants to our local nonprofits. We invite you to learn more and share your passion with us. Visit us at middlesexcountycf.org or contact us at 860-347-0025. Together we can make great things happen.